BMC's road bikes are machines. There's the Time Machine, the Road Machine, and this, the Team Machine. This is BMC's road race bike. After all, road racing is indeed a team sport. It was first launched in 2011, it's now 10 years old, and this is the 2021 iteration. Each of BMC's bikes go through its in-house software, runs through thousands of different versions of every single frame to find the perfect balance between stiffness, weight and compliance. And now they've added in aerodynamics. Of course, drag and weight are always targets for reduction, but stiffness and compliance are rather subjective, so the balance that you really want between those depends on who you are as a rider. This new 2021 Team Machine is reportedly 6% more aerodynamic, faster, 9% lighter, and a rather jaw-dropping 20% stiffer. Now, I've ridden the last model of the Team Machine, and I already thought it was a pretty stiff bike. So a 20% increase in stiffness surprised me, and to be honest, I was a little bit concerned. I've now covered just over 320 kilometers on this Team Machine SLR. So here are my thoughts. First, I will run through what BMC has done in order to update this bike, and then I'll tell you a little bit about how I thought that reflected in the ride quality. So BMC say that this bike is 6% faster or more aerodynamic. They haven't given us a specific watt saving, and that's actually for quite good reason. The reason for that is that it doesn't really tell us anything because it depends on how much power the rider is producing. So they had professional riders riding at 45 kilometers an hour. The average saving was 6%. However, that varied from 2% to 9%, but in all cases, the riders were faster. In order to make the bike more aerodynamic, BMC fed various different tube shapes into their in-house ACE Plus software package, and then they also carried out CFD testing as well to validate those results. So the areas that have really been optimized are the down tube and the fork. The down tube surface area has been increased, and it's also got a camtail profile. This works alongside the aero core bottle cages. These were available on the last model as well, and they make an awful lot of sense. They look a little bit funky, but I found they worked extremely well, had no problems getting bottles in or out. The fork has also been optimized. It now takes notes from the Time Machine aero road bike model. And there is also a stealth through axle nut here. I did have a puncture when I was riding this bike. Taking the wheel in and out was really simple. And actually BMC's Pro Team mechanics did ask for a simpler system there, and I certainly feel they've got that. This bike is now disc brake only. BMC has made a couple of changes to its ICS carbon cockpit. You get the ICS on the top end models such as this. A bit lower down you get the ICS 2, which is a stem and bar combo. Regardless, all the cables are really neatly tidied away, which is where really you're getting that aero optimization. And it's also been made 100 grams lighter, which certainly adds to dropping the system weight. So finally, the rider makes up the vast majority of drag, about 80%, and therefore it certainly makes sense to put them in an aero position. I've got the size 47 and the stack on this is 506. Now I would typically ride a 52 in a specialised tarmac, and on that it's 527. So it is a lower bike and it does put you in a stretched out aerodynamic position. So the bike is a reported 9% lighter. A 54 BMC says comes in at 6.5 kg. I've got a 47 here and I popped it on the scales and it came in at 6.61 kg on the Cycling Weekly office scales. It's possible that BMC weighed theirs with different bar tape, without cages and so on and so forth. But yeah, ours came in at 6.61 kg. Weight has been shaved off at the seat post, that is 10 grams lighter, at the fork, which is 50 grams lighter, and at the handlebars, which is 100 grams lighter. And they've also used a lighter weight paint. Obviously this one is plain black, which is the lightest colour, with just that little bit of red fade to add a bit of pop. And it certainly does feel lightweight out on the road. I live in a valley, so any way out of the valley, you're going to have to go up. and I really did feel pretty rapid on some of the climbs. And days where, frankly, I wasn't feeling very rapid, it did feel just that little bit easier. So I certainly enjoyed riding this as a lightweight frame. I would say that because it is so lightweight but also quite so stiff, it does have a certain tinny ride quality. It doesn't have the plushness that you get with a slightly more compliant frame. So finally on to stiffness, and this is the area that I've really spent the most of my time thinking about when riding this bike. It is a reported 20% stiffer but also more compliant. Sounds like a slightly oxymoronic phrase. However, I did ask BMC for a little bit more information on this.
Now, reportedly, it is lateral stiffness that's been increased by 20%.
So lateral stiffness is very much about handling. It's about the bottom bracket, it's about the fork, the steerer, and also the handlebar. It's about resisting that torsional flex as you're cornering, something that you'll feel when you're descending. And certainly the bike going around corners on the descents feels absolutely incredible.
Vertical stiffness is what you would equate with comfort.
And according to BMC, that is increased by less than 5%. They have added in some comfort by making changes to the seat post and reportedly the carbon layup. But I think carbon layup is quite a woolly phrase unless you really go into detail. Now, I've now spent around 320k on this bike, and my overarching feeling is that on beautiful, smooth roads, the bike feels absolutely immense. I had so much fun. I felt super fast. I just wanted to ride all day. But as soon as I hit some cracked sections or those sections with the nasty little speed bumps that kind of seem to appear every half a metre, I wasn't having so much fun and I was being bumped around quite a bit. It did occur to me that it's possible a lot of this comes down to the fact I'm riding a 47cm frame. However, speaking to Stefan Christ at BMC, he tells me that a lot of the NTT Pro riders are actually on a 47cm frame. He also said that a lot of the drive for increased stiffness came specifically from requests from the pro riders. Of course, I'm a racer myself. I also want a stiff frame, but I personally felt that the bike could have done with just that little bit more compliance on some of the smoother roads. So there is space for tyres up to 30mm, but it's optimised around 25s. I spoke to Stefan Christ at BMC, and he very much confirmed that if you go for that wider tyre, you are losing a couple of watts because your frontal area is wider. However, if you live in the likes of the UK where you want a little bit more comfort, it might well make sense to go for a wider tyre. So on the top end models, you get the ICS2 handlebar, as we've already discussed. This only comes in two widths, which kind of surprised me, and those widths are 40 and 42. I usually ride a 36 or a 38, so I was a little bit unsure about this until the bike arrived. But actually, measuring centre to centre, it basically is 38. They felt great for me, which left me wondering if those with wider shoulders would feel uncatered for. BMC tells me that the trend is very much going towards narrower handlebars, and they've based those two width options on what most people are opting to ride. Of course, if you go for a lower end model with the ICS2, then you'll be able to swap your bars and go with whatever you fancy. They've also actually added a very slight flare to the bottom of the handlebars, which means when you are on the drops, you do have just that little bit of extra stability. The stem comes at a -15-degree angle. It does put you in a slightly more aggressive position. It took a little bit of getting used to, but I did really enjoy it and I had a lot of fun. And then regardless if you go with the ICS2 stem or the ICS bars, you do get an integrated mount that comes with it as standard. The Teammachine range is split up into the SLR and the SLR01 models. The SLR01 is the top end version and it is lighter. So the SLR01 models come in at a claimed 6.5 kg in a size 54, whereas the SLRs start at 7.7 kg in a 54. The Teammachine SLR01 models range from £6,599 with Shimano Ultegra Di2 right up to £10,250 with SRAM Red AXS ETAP and hydraulic discs. There are then the SLR models, and these start at a much more swallowable £2,700 with Shimano 105 up to £5,000 with SRAM Force AXS. So really it's up to you. Do you want a mega stiff, super good handling bike? If so, this might be the one. if you're planning on 100-mile excursions out on some not amazing road surfaces, you might want to look elsewhere. So that is my thoughts on the BMC Teammachine SLR 01 for 2021. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do hit the like button. It means an awful lot to us. And do subscribe so you can see more of our video content in the future. It means we can make more for you. Please do let us know what you thought in the comments, and I'll see you soon.